The Opium Wars, China's century of humiliation. In the early 19th century, the Qing dynasty of China found itself in an escalating conflict with Great Britain over trade, sovereignty, and most explosively, opium. What began as a Chinese effort to stem the flow of British opium pouring into their ports soon erupted into two wars that would reshape geopolitics in Asia. The Opium Wars marked a pivotal time as Britain's industrializing military forces collided with China's insular agrarian empire. Confronted by the superiority of British naval power and weaponry, China's once impregnable civilization was violently pried open to Western trade and influence by a foe motivated by a lethal combination of capitalistic profit-seeking and cultural arrogance. These controversial wars were the culmination of decades of opium trafficking by British merchants into China, fueling widespread addiction among the Chinese populace. When the Qing Emperor tried to enforce a ban on the narcotic trade, it provoked an angry British military response to protect its lucrative opium racket. The resulting conflicts saw British forces deploy devastating force to batter down Chinese coastal defences, occupy cities, and impose the hated terms that made China a semi-colony under Western dominance. Welcome to the Global Insight. Western traders, particularly the British, faced a significant trade imbalance with China. The Chinese had little interest in Western goods, while Europeans had an insatiable demand for Chinese tea, silk, and porcelain. To address this imbalance, the British East India Company began smuggling opium from India into China, leading to widespread addiction and severe social issues. By the late 1830s, millions of Chinese were addicted to opium, causing economic and social disruption. In 1839, the Chinese government, led by Commissioner Ling Zishu, took decisive action to halt the opium trade. Lin confiscated and destroyed over 20,000 chests of opium in Canton or Guangzhou, escalating tensions between China and Britain. In retaliation, British warships destroyed Chinese blockade defences, and Britain sent an expeditionary force to China aiming to protect its commercial interests and force China to open its markets. British forces, leveraging their naval superiority, captured key Chinese cities along the coast. Significant battles included the bombardment of Canton and the capture of Zhenjiang. The war culminated in the signing of the Treaty of Nanjing in 1842. This treaty imposed heavy indemnities on China, ceded Hong Kong to Britain, and opened 5 treaty ports to British trade. It also granted extraterritorial rights and most favoured nation status to Britain, allowing British citizens to be tried under British law rather than Chinese law. Seeing the benefits Britain gained, the United States sought similar concessions. President John Tyler appointed Massachusetts Congressman Caleb Cushing to negotiate with China. The Treaty of Wangjie was signed in 1844 in a suburb of Macau, mirroring the Treaty of Nanjing. It included additional provisions favouring American missionaries and trade practices, ensuring that the US would not be left behind in the scramble for Chinese markets. The Treaty of Wangjie, also known as the Treaty of Huangpu, was imposed on China by Great Britain and other Western powers after their military victory in the First Opium War from 1839 to 1842. Its provisions cemented the unequal treaty system that granted expansive extraterritorial privileges to foreigners in China. The treaty's main terms included the cession of Hong Kong Island to Britain in perpetuity, establishing Britain's first outright colonial holding on Chinese soil. It designated 5 treaty ports: Canton, Amoy, Foochow, Ningpo, and Shanghai, where foreign merchants could reside and conduct trade. Perhaps most damaging were the clauses exempting foreigners from Chinese law and taxation. Foreign nationals in China were granted extraterritorial legal protections under their home country's jurisdiction. The treaty also fixed import tariffs at a low 5% rate, denying China the ability to regulate foreign trade. Overall, the Treaty of Wangjie marked the start of a century of humiliation for China, as it was forced to accept a series of unequal treaties with Britain, France, the United States, and other powers over the coming decades. It stripped away China's tariff autonomy and judicial sovereignty over foreign residents. British and French dissatisfaction with the existing treaties and Chinese non-compliance led to renewed hostilities in 1856. The British used the boarding of the British-registered ship Arrow by Chinese officials as a pretext to attack. The French joined, citing the murder of a French missionary. Both nations sought to expand their trading rights and secure greater concessions from China. The Allied forces captured Canton and, in 1858, forced China to sign the Treaties of Tianjin. These treaties expanded foreign privileges, legalized the opium trade, and opened additional ports to Western trade. When China resisted ratifying these treaties, the Allies resumed hostilities, capturing Beijing in 1860. The subsequent Convention of Peking reaffirmed the Tianjin Treaties and ceded the Kowloon Peninsula to Britain, further consolidating Western influence in China. The treaties imposed during the Opium Wars are known as unequal treaties, heavily favoring Western powers and undermining Chinese sovereignty. China was forced to cede territories, grant extensive trade privileges, and pay substantial indemnities. These treaties symbolize the Western powers' dominance and China's weakened position. The restrictive Canton system, which confined foreign trade to Guangzhou under strict regulations, ended. China was now open to foreign trade and influence on a much larger scale. The opening of multiple treaty ports facilitated greater foreign presence and control over Chinese economic activities. The looting and destruction of the Old Summer Palace by British and French troops in 1860 symbolized the deep humiliation and loss suffered by China. The palace, a symbol of Chinese cultural heritage, was ransacked and numerous valuable artifacts were taken or destroyed. The wars led to internal rebellions, such as the Taiping Rebellion, and social upheaval, further weakening the Qing dynasty. The Opium Wars marked the beginning of the century of humiliation for China, a period of foreign domination and internal turmoil. These events continue to influence China's modern attitudes towards foreign relations, emphasizing the importance of strength and modernization to avoid vulnerability. The wars also highlighted the need for China to reform and modernize to protect its sovereignty and independence. The Opium Wars were not merely conflicts over trade, but emblematic of a broader clash between civilizations, ideologies, and economic interests. They set the stage for China's later efforts to modernize and resist foreign domination, leaving a legacy that continues to shape China's historical and contemporary perspectives on its interactions with the world. Understanding these events is crucial for comprehending China's journey from a weakened empire to a major global power. That's it from the Global Insight. We hope you liked this video. We'd love to know what you think about China and the Opium Wars. Let us know by leaving a comment below. Also, don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel here on the Global Insight. And until next time, stay tuned.